Okay, I'm going to be assembling a vase that's made in 3 parts. So I've got the bowl that will be the foot. It's leather hard. Actually, all of the components are leather hard. This is the closed form, and then it's going to have a top that will go on like that. All right. So all 3 pieces have floors in them. You want to throw them that way. The base looks really nice when you turn it over. It's very finished, and so what I prefer doing is to remove the floor of the body. And you can use a fettling tool or a needle tool. You can do it by hand, or you can trim it on the wheel. So I'm just cutting out the floor. I usually don't do a lot of shortcuts. I'd like to make things well crafted, but this is a situation where the inside probably won't be so easy to look into, and I can always use like a dark liner glaze so that it's even harder to see the knife or the carving to remove some of this excess. All right. You don't ever want to join pieces floor to floor, because if the surfaces have warped at all, when you join them, there might be a little air pocket that will cause the piece to explode or come apart in a firing. This hole is pretty small, and so I could actually trim a lot of this thickness away. If I want to keep this profile down here exactly the way it is, I could carve a lot more of this interior out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take advantage of this extra thickness, and I'm going to trim the outside. So I like to assemble from the bottom and work my way up. So I will get that centered and use some clay to secure. If you want to trim that piece on the wheel, you would need to turn it upside down, put it in a trimming chuck, and trim it that way. Let's see. Just seeing how wide of an area I need to score. Okay, score both surfaces. You can use a fork for this. I just don't have one, so I'm going to use my needle tool. You want a lot of score marks, and you want them to be very deep, and that'll make a stronger bond. Okay, so there's quite a bit. And then you can use water or slip on both surfaces that have been scored. All right. Let's get this centered. Let's see. The bowl moved a little bit, so I need to do a little work in getting everything aligned and just so before I compress the joint. Let's see. Okay, and then once I think I have it in position, I will just I'm wiggling and compressing and pushing this down a little bit to get the teeth to sink in. Okay, and just smoothing the seam a bit. I'll remove, let's see, push this over a little bit. I'll remove the top to this. If you cut at an angle, how I'm doing, you don't have to worry about this falling in. Okay. Just carving the floor out. And I have a fettling knife, which I actually prefer using to cut clay away. Again, you could do this on the wheel if you don't want to do it by hand. This shoulder has an angle to it. This being flat, there's not going to be good contact, so what I'll do is I'll shave a little bit of a angle bevel to this so that there's better contact. All right. Make sure it's in the right spot, it's level. If that's a slight wobble, it's not a big deal because other than right now, the vase isn't going to be twirling like this. So if it's just sitting there, you're not going to notice if it has a slight lean. Okay, I'm going to use a needle tool to scribe where I'm going to do the square mark on the outside. Same thing on the inside. And then I like this great tool here. It's got a number of little sharp teeth. I got this at a Asian market, some sort of kitchen gadget. And what I love about it is that it makes scoring very fast. Right? So I trim some of the excess off there. Use water or slip the joint. Make sure that it's placed just right. And it's pretty good. And then I'm just gonna wiggle as I press down a little bit to secure it. Okay, looks good. And then I can work on the seam. I think I'm going to try to use less clay down here to keep it secure, so I can do more trimming down in this lower area without this clay being in the way. Hope it doesn't fly off. Alright, so I'm going to trim some of excess away. The clay's still gooey because of the wet seam. I could cover this entire thing for, say, half a day, and then come back, and when I go to trim, the clay won't be so gooey, so it'll make trimming easier. And what I'm trying to do is get a nice flow in the pot. So have the shape flow from the foot into the body. So you can hide the seam of the joint if you're careful enough. Okay, and the same thing up here. But with the top on this vase, I think I want the change in the profile to be more abrupt. I think the base is a little sticky, so I could probably get away with removing this so it's not those little wads of clay, so that they're not in the way of me finishing all the way down to the very bottom. If your clay is gooey, like it seems to be here at the joint, you can use a rib to smooth and compress the seam so it's less noticeable. Alright, and if you want, you could even trim some of the clay at this inside part of the joint. Okay. So this is the vase trimmed and joined.